Dave here with Limitless Brave. Are you tired of living what feels like a half version of yourself? Meaning you don't feel fully actualized, you don't feel like there's a full version of you operating at any given time? Well, that's typically due to your repressed shadow material. So you guessed it, we're going to talk about shadow today in this video. And ultimately, what shadow material is the repressed versions of ourselves that we feel that society wouldn't appreciate, doesn't accept, and doesn't approve of. So you have to remember, when it comes to human beings, we need appreciation, approval, acceptance, unconditional love, and we need to know at a very young age that our survivability is being taken care of. And if those things aren't met when we're children, well, that starts to develop out what we deal with as adults as our shadow material. This is where low self-esteem comes from, codependencies, addictions, the nice guy behaviors, manipulators. When we're not receiving what we need as children or young adults, and we have to fight for our own survival. We don't understand what unconditional love is. We've never really been shown appreciation, acceptance, or approval. Well, we create lots of psychological problems, stories, ideas, and concepts of the way that we need to interact with people to make sure that we're accepted, we're approved of, we're appreciated. Now, this leads to all types of repression of who we are as human beings. And we hide it away from the world. And usually those are the best parts of ourselves that we're hiding away from the world. And in shadow work, when I get people to bring the authentic version of who they really are out and show it to the world, it's like flicking on a light switch in a dark room. All of a sudden, they're more free. They're able to express. They don't care about judgment. They don't care what people have to say. Now, will shadow work shift your reality overnight? No. It takes conscious effort. It takes conscious awareness. It takes a lot of practice. And if you come participate in a workshop with me, then I can show you all the games and manipulations that you play with yourself. I can show you where you're repressing, you're hiding, you're fearful, and how that creates a lot of different stories that ultimately is a giant feedback loop of experience that you think is normal. And it's actually very abnormal once we really get you to open up and be who you really are. See, the after effects of a workshop can last upwards of 6+ months. And how do I know that? Well, my clients that come and participate in these workshops are still reporting new ideas, new concepts, new ways of thinking about themselves upwards of 6 months after participating. They're catching the games that they're playing with themselves. They're catching the manipulations that they're doing to themselves. So it's a powerful experience for sure, and it can definitely change the trajectory of your future. Now, shadow work may seem a little abstract and a little weird for some guys. So guys, let's think about it in terms that we probably all understand. Let's think about cars. Well, if we have a Lamborghini, Ferrari, Bugatti, whatever, and somebody comes overnight and programs that car without our awareness to run at half of its capability, how frustrating would it be to drive that car the next day, right? Because it's been pre-programmed to not perform at its full capability. Well, this is exactly what the shadow does to you. It keeps you from performing at full capacity, full capability. Now, if we did shadow work, it would be like undoing that tune to those cars. They would run at full capability, full capacity. You'd be able to hit the rev limiter, all the shift points, and that thing would be going, 200 miles an hour. But if you don't do the shadow work, you don't deprogram or detune all of the shit that was pre-programmed in you at childhood, teenage years, going into adulthood. And if you're not addressing this stuff from early childhood, It gets dragged into teenage years, which creates a whole hell of a mess with hormones plus childhood traumas. Now you're gonna drag all that garbage into your adult life and wonder why your adult life is not running like a well-tuned machine. Well, it's because you've drug all this garbage and outdated information into your adult life. So if you wanna run like a finely tuned sports car, if you want to actualize your full capability as a man, your full capacity with your dating, with your career, with living a great lifestyle, making good money, all of that resides in the shadow, which is inside of you, which is something that's extremely detrimental if you don't do any work on it. And here's the trick about the shadow. The shadow tricks you to believe that life currently is okay, it's manageable, it's comfortable. Well, guys, that's not really living. Living should be a high. A living should be a full expression of yourself. It shouldn't be throttled back. It shouldn't be held back. If you see a beautiful woman, you should go and approach. If you're in a career that you love, you should be striving to be the president of that company one day. If $1 million isn't on your goalpost for your finances, why not? That's a very achievable goal. If you're staying at home, watching porn, not going out, not socializing, but yet you dream of traveling the world, that's all shadow holding you back as well. So you might be asking yourself, would shadow work help me? Well, at the end of the day, the answer is yes, if you give it the opportunity. See, what you don't know, and that affects you negatively. And the people that come and participate in my shadow workshops are already highly functional individuals. They're looking for that extra edge. They're looking for what they can't see within themselves, because we're all with ourselves 24 hours a day. It's nice to have somebody that has the skill set outside of you to look at what you're doing, to make the corrections, to see the games that you're playing with yourselves, so that you can get that extra edge to perform better, to get the girl, to make the money, to have the great career, and ultimately live an amazing lifestyle. And you might say, Dave, you don't understand my situation. You don't know how bad it was. You don't know how dark it is inside me. You don't understand what I've hidden away from the world. You don't understand the abuse I've been through. You don't understand how I've been manipulated, unloved. Brother, that's exactly why you need to get into a workshop like this. To be around other men who are there to support you along that journey, myself included. We get into the deepest, darkest stuff in the shadow workshops. Guys love it because it gives them permission to lay it all out without judgment, look at it in a safe environment, a comfortable environment, without being judged. Now, we do challenge you, which is great, because the masculine loves challenge. So we have to defend our shadow in the shadow workshop so that we can realize how ridiculous it is, these games that we play with ourselves. This is actually one of the most favorite exercises that the guys love to do, is to interrogate each other about their shadow. So if you're looking for that extra edge, if you're looking to stop living as a half version of yourself, come join me in any shadow workshop, but the next one available is going to be in Bucharest, Romania. Like I said, November 7th through the 9th. I'd love to have you in attendance. We have tons of cool shadow exercises that we do to trigger you, to get you to look at things in a different way, to show you versions of yourself that you could be, versions of yourself that you're repressing, to create the ultimate version of yourself if you give it the opportunity and you give it the time. So I hope you join me, and I'll see you in the next video.